All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to our Thursday stream here with the VectorVest Stock Advisory app, where we go over what's going on in the market today, typical or some tricks and tips using the VectorVest Stock Advisory app. Then, as always, we finish off at the very end with the fan favorite. So, hopefully, you guys can hear me. Hopefully, we are live right now. If you guys can hear me, let me know in the chat, in the comments, that you guys can hear me. We should be live on both Facebook and on YouTube, so everything should be working here today. Hopefully everyone is doing well. What's going on, VV Nation? You guys here? All right, just making sure we have confirmation of that. Waiting to see in the chat that you guys can hear me out there. Shows that everything is coming through fine on my end, so I want to make sure you guys can hear me. If you guys are tuning in right now, perfect. Thank you for that energy. All right, VV Nation coming in on the Facebook side. Thank you for that, Jay. So welcome, VV Nation, everybody, YouTube tuning in here today. My name is Patrick France, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest, and every single Thursday we talk about the VectorVest Stock Advisory app, which is by far one of the most comprehensive trading apps out there to help you manage your portfolio and make better, smarter, and faster investing decisions. Good morning to you too, Energy. Hopefully you're doing well. So if you're tuning in for the very first time, welcome. We have a lot of information to go over here today. As always, the typical flow that we go over, as I mentioned a little bit ago, is we talk about what's going on in the market here first and foremost. Then we jump into our topic of discussion. Then, as always, if you want to see your own stocks analyzed, stick around towards the very end and we'll analyze any stock that you want to take a look at in less than 10 seconds. And I see a lot of people tuning in here already. So good morning, Jay. Good morning, Steven. Good morning, Drew. Martin, hopefully you're doing well. So with that, let's go ahead. Jump right into the Stock Advisory app here today, and then we'll move on from there. So, of course, main headlines were pretty negative with the Ukraine getting invaded by Russia currently, and so we have seen the markets dropping significantly. We've seen them rising off of their lows since the open, but they're still pushing the markets down, so therefore we are 3 ticks into the red here today. Therefore, the color guard is bearish, and VectorVest does not advocate buying any stocks at this time. No surprise, we don't want to be buying stocks as the stocks are falling, so therefore we're going to be sticking around or sticking with that guidance of holding off from buying stocks for the time being. Contra ETFs in general, yeah. Contra ETFs have been a great opportunity here, to say the least. Today's not a good morning, yeah. Fortunately not. So with that, as always, if you ever want to see a updated detailed analysis of what happened for the day, what to expect for tomorrow, what news you need to be aware of, as always, you can watch the daily market update where we'll recap that for you in about 5 to 10 minutes every single night, Monday through Friday. Friday's version is a little bit longer where we go into more detail on the overall market, But once again, something that you can only find here inside the VectorVest Stock Advisory app or the VectorVest Severance software in general. So then we scroll down, getting to the color guard. As you can see, we have three columns here, and they're all what we like to use to get an idea on the overall sense of the market. So the first one we're going to focus on here today is the price, which is based upon the price of the VectorVest composite. So the price of the VectorVest composite is an arithmetic indexed average of about 9,100 stocks out there in the US market. And we feel this gives us a better representation on what's actually occurring in the market, because it's not just looking at small subsections of the market such as the Dow's 30 or the Nasdaq's 100 or the S&P's 500, but it's looking at 9,100 stocks as a whole. And since it's red, we give colors based upon the movement of the data. So if it's lower day over day and week over week, it'll be red. If it's higher day over day, week over week, it'll be green. And if it's mixed, we'll see a yellow color here. So I'm seeing a lot of sentiment specifically on what's going on in the YouTube chat here today. Interesting. Yeah. So after the price, the next indicator is going to be the RT, which stands for the relative timing. Now, the relative timing is looking at the short-term price trend of the VectorVest composite. It's cast on a scale of 0 to 2, and above 1 shows the short-term trend is up. Below 1, the short-term trend is down. So as we can see at 0.78, the short-term trend in the market is down, and it's getting stronger to the downside day over day and week over week here. Then we look at the BSR, the buy to sell ratio, which is looking at the number of buy rated stocks compared to the number of sell rated stocks in the database. So we use this to get an idea on the overall market health. If there's more buys and sells, the buy to sell ratio will be above 1. And if there's more sells and buys, as there is now, the buy to sell ratio is going to be below 1. So therefore, at a current reading of 0.16, we see a lot more sells than buys in the market. No surprise there. And so therefore, since it's lower day over day and week over week, as we can see, it is red as well. Robbie's asking, I have access to the Canadian market on my iPhone. Can I also have access to the US market? You should have access, Robbie, to all markets. If you're on your device, all you got to do is tap on the flag in the upper left or under the settings or more option on the phone, and you can change which market you're looking at right there. So all three of these indicators, the price, the RT, and the BSR, are all comprised to come up with the market timing indicator, the MTI. It's cast on a scale of 0 to 2, and it's looking at the underlying trend in the market. So as we can see, it's below 1, currently at a reading of 0.49. Therefore, that shows us the underlying trend in the market is down still this time. After that, we then look at the trend column where we show two parts of the trend each and every day. So the first part that we're looking at is what we like to call the primary wave, which is just simply the short-term or weekly trend of the market. As we can see, it's down since the price of the VectorVest composite is lower than it was 5 trading days earlier. Now, the second part of the trend is looking at the underlying trend, or the MTI. So since the MTI is below 1, the underlying trend in the market is also down, as we just discussed. And then last but not least, we get to the calls column, which stands for our confirmed calls. Now, our confirmed calls are our most conservative timing system here at VectorVest. They're our last signal we get to get into the market and our last signal we get to get out. So as you can see, we still remain in a confirmed down situation as of today. Peter, if you want to see stocks analyzed, make sure to stick around towards the very end. I'll analyze any stock you guys want to take a look at in less than 10 seconds, but make sure to stick around to the end and we'll analyze those. Use the down market. This is, yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see, Ram. All right, so as always, before we jump into our topic of discussion, let's check the advanced declines, also check the major indices. So looking at the advanced declines, whenever we're looking at it, what we want to see here is a 2-to-1 bias in either direction. So if the market's moving up, we want to see twice as many stocks moving higher than moving lower. And if the markets are moving down, as they are now, we want to see at least twice as many stocks declining than advancing. So currently we're sitting at about 22% of stocks moving higher and about 70% of stocks moving lower, clearly meeting that 2-to-1 bias that we want to see if we're going to be opening up a trade in a certain direction. So as we can see right now, we have 3 red lights across the board. We have well over that 2-to-1 bias in the advanced declines, favoring the downside. Looking at the major indices at the bottom, the Dow is down about 2%. Nasdaq's down about 0.8%. S&P's down about 1.4%. VectorVest composite down about 1.25%. So markets are pretty ugly right now, pretty bearish. We have seen them coming off of their lows a little bit, but at the same time, we're looking at the advance and declines, looking at the color guard, that sea of red we were just seeing. Clearly, I think we can all agree that the guidance right here that we shouldn't be buying any stocks at this time, at least to the upside, is the right guidance to follow right now. So I know there's a lot of political comments going on in the chat here today. Not surprising at all. Just throwing it out there. I'm not going to make any comments on that. So let's keep the politics down a little bit here. Everybody's allowed to have their own opinion, but we want to make sure we try to keep the political talk down a little bit. Focus on the markets, focus on what's going on in the VectorVest Stock Advisory app. All right, so with that, what we're going to be taking a look at here today is really some of the only bright spots that we noticed in the market. So right now, the overall market is going down. We see the buy to sell ratios at 0.17. So what is there in the market that is actually still doing well? Besides contra ETFs. Contra ETFs are a great option. We've talked about them a lot here over the last few months. But what are some other ideas? If you're not a fan of, playing the market to the downside, you still want to put your money to use so that way it can continue to grow. Where is a bull market in this market currently that you can, invest in to still make money for the time being? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going into the stock pick ideas and taking a look at the hot industries. And this is something I don't think anybody's going to be too surprised with so far. But you look at the hot industries and you can get a sense of where the money is still, growing right now. And that's commodities. So because you can't invest in commodities directly through the markets, you have commodity ETFs. But the main section that we're going to be focusing on here today is oil, petroleum. With all the news that's going on right now, oil prices just hit over $100 a barrel. Oil prices continue to climb. I wish I could say I didn't see this coming, but as a lot of you guys who have been following me here for a while know, the petroleum stocks have been one of the best plays ever since November of 2020. So that's what we're going to be looking for here today. Why not show us how to buy on the way down? Because you should not be buying on the way down, Billy. Buying on the way down is a good way to lose all your money. Simple as that. All right, so what we're going to be doing, taking a look at some of these, analyzing some of the top performers in each of these industries, so that way we can, look at some potential bright spots in the market. With such negative news going out there, it's time to look at the brighter side of things, if you will. All right, so starting off with Petroleum International. Oh, got to reset it. I reset it earlier today, but for some reason, must not have reset. There we go. This time it reset. No, it's not. That is not called shorting. Buying stocks on the way down is not called shorting. Shorting stocks on the way down is called shorting. Shorting is when you sell a stock that you don't actually own. Buying a stock is you're buying a stock that you don't own to own it. So very, very different, very, very different concepts and different things there. How did you get this screen? Which screen? This is just the main screen. So right now we're going to go back to the stock pick ideas and go to the petroleum first and foremost. And if anybody was in a jockey club a few days ago, we know that we had some great opportunities with some of these stocks, some petroleum stocks. And with all that's going on right now, all the fear that, we already have a supply chain issues all across the globe. And with Ukraine being invaded right now, that could really boost oil prices because of fear, and therefore oil stocks still have that potential to continue to climb. So looking at Chesapeake first and foremost, looking at the analysis, as always, we start off by analyzing the stock using these 4 indicators at the bottom. Now, if you're not familiar with this screen, if you've never seen it, if you're brand new here, these 4 indicators are all going to be cast on a scale of 0 to 2, and above 1 is good and below 1 is bad. That's what VectorVest does. We make it easy so that way you don't have to spend hours upon hours analyzing balance sheets and going through reports. You can just simply get all that information already calculated for you to help make your decision process even faster. So starting off with Chesapeake right now, the RV stands for the relative value, which is looking at the long-term potential of a stock. So at 1.34, this stock has good long-term potential over the next 1 to 3 years. The next one is the RS, or relative safety. At 0.59, it is below the level of 1. And the RS is looking at the amount of risk involved with the stock compared to the average stock out there. So below 1 tells us that there is more risk associated with this stock currently than the average stock out there. So with the higher RV, the lower RS, this does make it more of an aggressive stock. So if you're not an aggressive trader, this may be something you may hold off on. Looking at the RT 2.0, the highest it can possibly get. The RT, once again, looking at the short-term price trend of the individual equity that we're looking at right now. So at 2.0, it can't get any higher than that, telling us this is in a parabolic run. It's moving higher extremely fast. So if you're somebody who's looking for a momentum play, this could definitely be a good opportunity here. And then all three of these indicators are comprised to come up with our master indicator, VST, standing for value, safety, and timing. It's something unique that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else because it's looking at and analyzing the stock from both fundamental and a technical basis, all summarized into one. So with the overall VST of 1.47, that tells us this stock is favorable from both a fundamental and a technical basis. What do you think of gold? So every single Monday, Tommy, we do a gold recap, looking at the gold bugs, the Huey, in our nightly market update. So that would be my opinion of gold right now. I know when I was doing it last week, we were just seeing early signs that our indicators were starting to give us a potential long-term buying opportunity on gold. And I mean, we see what's happening with gold right now. So yeah, gold could definitely be a very interesting one. So all right, moving on to the next one. CRT. So this one's down a little bit here today, but once again, good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it. Really strong uptrend on a short-term basis. Not as strong as what we saw previously, but still a strong uptrend nonetheless. Overall, the stock is favorable. Going to the next, SJT. Basically flat so far here today. So looking for ones that are continuing to move. So KRP, good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it, but really strong uptrend as well. Therefore, the stock is favorable. Can you see these screens on the mobile subscription to VectorVest? So Goji, everything that we're looking at here today is strictly just on the mobile. So yes, you can. All right. Getting back out of it. And as you can see, a lot of these, if you're looking for high momentum, clearly just simply resort the list by RT and you're going to be finding those stocks that are really moving up the most at this current time. So if you're a momentum trader, easy to find some quick opportunities to make some money in here. All right, so getting back out of here, taking a look at the next one, international specialty. Not very many stocks in this list, but the ones that we do have are pretty strong performers. So PSX basically flat here for the day. Moving on to the next one, TELL up 16% so far. But as we can see, looking at the analysis, this is more of a speculative play. Long-term potential is poor. Does have a lot of risk associated with it, but it's a strong momentum play currently. So if you're a momentum trader, more of a speculative trader, this could definitely be one of interest for you. Therefore, because of that strong momentum, it's offsetting the risk and the poor fundamentals. So therefore, the overall stock is favorable here. Simple, easy, finding some great looking trades. And I mean, even right now, it's still going up higher right now. So if you're a momentum trader, these are the kind of stocks you'd be looking for. And I see Norbert coming in. Welcome, Norbert. Welcome to VV Nation. Glad you could join us. Hopefully you're doing well here today. All right, so TELL, next one, PARF or PARXF. So this is going to be a foreign stock. So therefore, if you're, some brokers have restrictions on foreign stocks or charge extra with foreign stocks. So if they do that, just make sure to check with your broker on that one. But this one up about 1%, not as strong as what we've seen with some of the other ones though. So getting on to the next one, TAOIF. This one's up almost 15% here today. A very low price stock, 37 cents, so very speculative. Therefore, the lower the dollar stock, typically the more speculative it is. And when you see it, 0.43, 0.49 for the fundamental indicators, both below the level of 1, tells us there's poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it, but you have a really strong uptrend right now. So unfortunately, though, not enough to really offset it. But if you're somebody who likes really low dollar stocks or penny stocks, this could definitely be one of interest for you. All right, so if we get out of here, taking a look at the next one, petroleum drilling. As we can see, a little bit of a mixed bag with these. Some of them are down, some of them are flat, some of them are up slightly. Not as strong as some of the other areas that we've noticed with petroleum, but could definitely be of interest as this whole Ukraine situation plays out going forward. So, not one for today, not to necessarily jump on board with, but at the same time going forward, ones to keep an eye on here. As always, starting up at the very top, IPOOF. So IPOOF, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. Really strong short-term uptrend, even though it's basically flat here today. Overall, favorable stock. If we scroll down, as always, we can get some more extended information. So, you want, if you're somebody who likes to do more hands-on analysis on your own, as always, VectorVest provides that for you right at the bottom. You can see the stock is undervalued even after such a strong uptrend. I don't know why that tried to block it there, Jay, but there you go. The stock, even with the strong uptrend right now, still is undervalued, and you can see earnings growth rate is forecasted earnings growth rate over the next 1 to 3 years is 44% a year, grossly outperforming the average of the market. So, for a good potential growth play at a lower dollar price, this could definitely be interesting to keep an eye on. And then getting out of here, taking a look, last one we have here is steel. So as we know, steel's been going up for quite a while. Alcoa has been one of our best performers, but with all the news going on, we've seen steel pulling back a little bit here today. Could create some good buying opportunities. So some of these, even though they're down here today, maybe ones to add to our radar, keep on our shopping list. So if we notice these starting to turn back around, we can definitely jump on board, take advantage of it. Let's see. Just waiting for it to load. Let's go back. Let's see. There we go. So ATI, a little bit, poor long-term potential. Does have a lot of risk associated with it, but you do have a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, stock's favorable. As always, if you tap on it, you can get to the graph. Looking at it here, we'll zoom in to a 3-month time frame. As you can see, it's been steadily rising for quite some time, pulling back a little bit, but just like here, we had a nice little run, pulled back a little bit, and then gapped up and continued to move higher. So this could be one you wait for it to pull back a little bit and then wait for that next move up. Moving on to the next one, Timken Steel. So this one, good long-term potential. So more of an aggressive play rather than a speculative play. But this one, good long-term potential. You do have a little bit more risk associated with it. It is basically flat to slightly down currently. So overall, it's a good play, but we need to see that timing pick back up a little bit. And then moving on to the next one, GSM, another more speculative play. Poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it, but it has had some strong momentum recently. So therefore, enough momentum to offset the speculativeness or the poor fundamentals in the stock. So therefore, stock is still favorable for the time being. All right. So I see a lot of stocks already coming in. A lot of you guys asking about that, or a lot of you guys asking about other oil or petroleum stocks that we haven't covered here. So we'll definitely take a look at those as well. But then one other idea, is to look at maybe potentially dividend stocks. In times of fear, people go to where there's potential safeness in the market, and dividend stocks are historically known as a safer play. So if we go to top dividend stocks, we can see we get even some of the best of the both worlds. We get some petroleum stocks and dividend stocks. So NUE's been one of our top performers for quite some time. So we can see it's down a little bit here today, but if you look at that little mini graph, it shows that it has been climbing back. Next one, looking at Exxon, down a little bit here today, but climbing back. Same as Chevron. So let's go through these real quick. So NUE, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You have a steady short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is favorable. Scrolling down, since we're looking at dividend stocks, as always, you do want to take a look at the dividend information at the bottom here. So the dividend annualized out is $2 a share per year. Yield comes out to about 1.7%. Dividend safety, cast on a scale of 1 to 99 at 98 tells us this dividend is safe, it's consistent. So if you're looking for a consistent dividend, this is a great opportunity here. Dividend growth also showing 11% per year. And then the YSG factor, just as we talked about the VST at the top there, which is, a combination of a few different things. The YSG is like the overall dividend indicator, if you will. So it's taking into account, the dividend yield, the safety, the growth, and summarizing it in a simple to understand 0 to 2 rating. So at 1.22, that shows us this is a favorable dividend with this one. So if you're somebody who's looking for dividend investing, this would definitely be a viable candidate to consider. Now, one thing I will always say, from being here, being an instructor, coaching customers and coaching people over the years, one thing I will definitely say is whenever you're becoming a dividend investor, if you're somebody who buys and holds dividend stocks, always remember, if the dividend is not offsetting the amount that the underlying stock is losing, then you're losing overall on that trade, and therefore it doesn't make sense to hold it. This is one common misconception I see a lot of people do, where, they buy a stock and, the stock has been steadily dropping for over a year. And I ask them, why are you still holding this? And they say, well, it pays a good dividend. Yes, it pays a good dividend, but not enough to offset the underlying loss you're taking on the initial capital that you put into it. So therefore, you're still losing your money overall, and it doesn't make sense to lose money. So therefore, just keep that in mind when looking at dividend stocks. OG is asking, does VectorVest have actual, not paper trades where the VectorVest option paycheck was actually traded? Yeah, we do in our Jockey Club, Gammy. We do a lot of, that's what it is. It's a live trading room we do every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until about 10:30. And yeah, you can see those results in the Jockey Club. I think a few people have already put it in here, but we had a trade, or at least I had a trade on Tuesday where we had INDO, made 26% in about 20 minutes or so. So yeah, we do a lot of live trading here at VectorVest as well. So yeah, if you're interested in finding out more about the different places that we have live trading, so you can, tune in and hang out and see that, just give our supporter a call. They'd be glad to go over all those different things as well. All right, so we've gone over that. NUE definitely looking like a favorable candidate. Exxon. So Exxon pulling back a little bit here today, but this stock has good long-term potential. This stock has a little bit less risk than the average stock out there. It's been in a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, yeah, the stock is definitely favorable. Also, I saw Mike coming in as a new subscriber. Welcome to the VV Nation, Mike. And then we go to the next one. Oh, wait, let's take a look at the dividend information. So dividend, $3.52 a share annualized out. Dividend yield puts it at 4.6%. Dividend safety, 55, which is not as good as what we'd like to see. Dividend growth, 10%. Overall, though, because it's such a higher dividend, 1.2 on the YSG factor, not bad. Moving on to the next, Chevron. So I saw somebody asking for Conoco. We can definitely take a look at Conoco in a second. But looking at Chevron real fast, right now, even at its current price, that it's trading at, it's undervalued. We look down at the dividend information. Annualized dividend is $5.68, 4.17% for the year, 54 on the dividend safety, 11% dividend growth. So therefore, YSG is 1.17, which is a favorable dividend here. So not only is it the stock making you money because it's going up, especially with the current environment, but it also pays a dividend to help, give you that extra boost or give you that extra income coming in as well with this. So some good opportunities here found within the top dividend stocks. And that's really, the main spots that we're noticing is oil and also dividend stocks. Dividend stocks have been, a stronger candidate here as well as oil stocks. So to go back to the whole original recap of what we've been talking about, the reason why we're looking at these is because these are about the only bright spots that we're noticing in the market still. Once again, to recap for anybody just tuning in, we've got dividend stocks. We've also got oil stocks. So anything aside from that, technology, growth stocks, even some value stocks, all of those right now, we're simply holding off from buying. And right now we're only focused on stocks that are still doing well in the market. Now this could potentially change, especially as things play out and new news comes in and new information comes in. But for the time being, this is definitely where we should be focused on. If you're somebody who, feels like you have to always have your money invested, this is where we'd be looking at it. Or if you're not comfortable with that, simply going to cash, sitting on your hands, waiting for the market to reverse and start to move higher, that is definitely a viable option as well. Never want to undercut that, if you will. All right, so with that, let's go ahead, jump in. If you guys have any questions about any of these stocks, feel free to let me know. I'd be glad to answer them. With that, though, let's go ahead and start to type in the symbols that you want to see analyzed, and we'll go ahead and show you how easy it is to analyze any stock with the VectorVest Stock Advisory app in less than 10 seconds. Also, if you haven't already, if you're on our YouTube or you're on our Facebook, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you're on our Facebook page, make sure to share this with all your friends, share this with all your family, so that way we can continue to grow this awesome community that we built here over the last few years. All right, so first one was COP. We'll take a look at that. So looking at COP, good long-term potential, about average risk associated with it. You are in a short-term strong uptrend, no surprise being oil stock. Overall, stock's definitely favorable, even with it down slightly. Right now, the stock is undervalued. Its dividend is $1.84 per year, which is a yield of about 2% per year. Dividend safety at 67, not bad. Looking at the dividend growth, 14%. Therefore, the dividend is favorable as well. So you've got a stock that's undervalued, it's in a steady uptrend, has good long-term potential, and pays a pretty good dividend right now. Let's go see PSX. PSX, another oil stock. So this one, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. You're in a short-term uptrend, not as strong as we've seen with some of the other ones, but still not bad. Overall, stock is definitely favorable. Scrolling down, let's see. Stock is undervalued currently. Its dividend is $3.68 per share per year. 4.37% yield, 50 on the dividend safety, 12% growth. Favorable dividend nonetheless so. So, yeah, definitely a viable candidate to keep an eye on. Let's see. ALGS. ALGS. Good long-term potential, but a lot of risk associated with it. It's in a steady free fall. Overall, stock is not favorable. GATO. GATO. Good long-term potential, but does have a lot of risk associated with it. You're still in a really strong decline, even with it up 4% here today. So overall, not favorable currently. ADBE. So Adobe, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it, so strong fundamentals. Unfortunately, just like what we're seeing with a lot of the other tech stocks, right now is not the time to be long in it. Right now, the RT is at 0.54, telling us it's in a really strong short-term downtrend. So overall, yeah, the stock has good fundamentals, but right now is not the time to be long in it. SENS. SENS, surprisingly enough, one of the green spots in the market here today. This is more of a speculative play. You have poor long-term potential. You do have a lot of risk associated with it. You have been in a strong sell-off ever since they got approved for their medical device. So overall, right now, the stock is not favorable. All right, let's see what else we got. SBSW. SBSW. All right, so SBSW, good long-term potential, but does have more risk associated with it. You are in a short-term uptrend, a strong short-term uptrend, so overall stock is definitely favorable. LTRX. LTRX, good long-term potential, a little less risk associated with the stock. However, it is in a short-term decline currently. Overall, it's a favorable stock, but the timing is just not right on this one. Let's see, NVAX. NVAX, good long-term potential, but does have more risk associated with it. You are in a really sharp decline currently, so overall stock is definitely not favorable right now. SoFi, let's go take a look. SoFi, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady decline. Overall, definitely not favorable here. Ravi, if you want to, I don't really trade crypto that much. So, I mean, Hey, Glenn. So Glenn is here. Glenn is messing with the lights here today. Um, but yeah, if you wanted to, you could definitely do so. I don't trade crypto that much personally, so I'm not going to really be able to answer that too much for you. All right, looking at EPAM. EPAM, good long term potential, less risk associated with it, but unfortunately, not the right time to be long in it. Once you own a stock, timing becomes the most important indicator to focus on. So at 0.23, the stock is in a really strong decline, therefore, not favorable. Um, let's see. URA. URA. Looking at an ETF. So the great thing about VectorVest is when you're looking at an ETF, it makes it easy to analyze it. Because they don't report quarterly earnings, they don't have balance sheets and all that. The only indicator you have to focus on is the RT. At 1.09, that tells us this is in a short-term uptrend. So therefore, the stock is favorable right now. However, we do typically want to see that get to around the level of 1.1 or higher. All right, give me 1 second here. Oh. Yeah, Glenn. All right, 1 moment, folks. All right, there we go. I apologize for that, but couldn't see anything with Glenn jacked the lights all the way up. All right, so URA favorable for the time being. However, I would like to see that RT be a little bit higher. Let's go see XLE. Looking at an energy ETF. Once again, looking at focus primarily on the timing. 1.41 is in a really strong short-term uptrend. So yeah, definitely favorable right now. Also, while we're looking at these, if you guys haven't already, smash that like button. All that helps us out with the YouTube algorithms, keeps us going. So if you want to keep supporting the channel and make sure we have these going forward, make sure, as always, hit that like button because that helps us out and continues to grow this community that we built here. So if you haven't already, do that right now. Bottom, that corner right there, it should be right below me. Click that little thumbs up button and hit that red button that says subscribe if you haven't already done that as well. All right, so on that note, let's go take a look at the next one. ENPH. So Enphase, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. Timing, however, 0.45, it is in a really strong short-term decline. So overall, the stock is not favorable right now. Let's see, VXX. VXX, looking at an ETF. 1.61, really strong short-term uptrend. So yeah, overall, definitely favorable here. PANW. Oh, W, there we go. Palo Alto, poor long-term potential, but does have solid fundamentals, so less risk associated with it. Thanks, Glenn. You're basically flat on a short-term basis, so overall the stock's about average. Timing being where it is, I need to see that pick up before I'd say, yeah, let's jump on board with that one. Let's see, what did I miss? Trying to get back to it. Mara, MARA. So good long-term potential, but does have a lot of risk associated with it. These have been getting hit pretty hard. These crypto-adjacent stocks have been really getting beaten up pretty bad. So at 0.18, it is in a really strong short-term decline. Therefore, it's average. You need to see that timing pick back up before we'd ever say, let's go ahead and jump on board with it, though. AEP. AEP. Good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. You are in a short-term uptrend, so overall, stock's definitely favorable. CLSK. CLSK, good long-term potential, but does have a lot of risk associated with it. You are in a really strong short-term decline. Overall, definitely not favorable here. FTNT. Let's go take a look. FTNT, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. However, even the best stocks have downtimes, which is what we're seeing right now. RT at 0.88 tells us it is in a steady decline. Overall, it's a good stock, but not the right time to be long in it. Let's make sure. Let's see. OBE. OBE, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. you're in a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, stock's definitely favorable here. Facebook, sure, we can definitely take a look. FB, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. However, the timing is off. First quarter they've ever missed on subscriber growth. They ever had to slow down. Therefore, right now is not the time to be long in it. It has really strong fundamentals. The company is making money. Just had one bad earnings and they're getting punished for it. So overall, it's a good stock, but we need to wait for, signs that it's recovering before we jump on board. All right. All right, Mike, if you want to find out more info on the Jockey Club, best thing you can do, just simply give our supporter a call. They'd be glad to help you out. Let's see. GTE, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk associated with it. Really strong short-term uptrend, so therefore, if you're a momentum player, this is definitely a good candidate to look at. Overall, stock's definitely favorable. One that I'm surprised nobody's brought up yet, INDO. Let's go take a look at that. This is one, once again, that we were jumping on board with in our Jockey Club on Tuesday. Hit a pretty good winner very, very quickly. Looking at it, it is more of a speculative stock. We were trading this. I think I got in at 535 was my entry. And man, look at it now. It's 1246, over 100% from where we were looking at it. This is definitely a good-looking candidate here. Up 65% here today alone. Just take a look. So we traded it on this day here, gapped up the next day, and then gapped up bigger the next day. So yeah, definitely looking like an interesting play here, to say the least. It is pulling back right now off of those highs, but could be one to keep an eye on for a short-term trade. Let's see, Apple, AAPL. Looking at Apple, good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. However, the timing is off right now, so therefore we're not going to be advocating getting into it right now. It's a good stock, just need to see that timing pick back up. Overstock, OSTK. Let's take a look. OSTK, good long-term potential, but does have a little bit more risk than the average stock out there. Looking at the timing, 0.48, it is in a strong decline currently. Overall, the stock's about average. VXX. We looked at a couple of other volatility ones just a moment ago, but VXX 1.62, really strong short-term uptrend. So volatility is definitely a play as well right now. We talked about oil, we talked about dividends. Playing the volatility, you could definitely take advantage of it. Just be very careful because volatility can change very, very quickly. How was that identified when you found it? We identified it pre-market in our pre-market prep. So if you want to see how that pre-market prep occurs and what we do during our pre-market prep, make sure to give our support a call, ask about the Jockey Club, tune in. That's the best way. PayPal, PA. There we go. PYPL, so PayPal, good long-term potential. A little bit less risk than the average stock out there. However, the timing is off at 0.24. It is in a really strong decline. So overall, it's not favorable right now. EGY, we can definitely do that. I don't think we've done that yet, but we'll definitely take a look. So EGY has great long-term potential. Does have a little bit more risk associated with it, though. Really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, definitely favorable here. HIBS. There we go. Once again, when looking at an ETF, your primary focus is RT at 1.47. It is in a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, it's favorable. Even with it down a little bit here today, still favorable overall. SQQQ. SQQQ, 1.76 on the RT shows us a really strong short-term uptrend, therefore making it favorable for the time being. How do I access the main stock viewer and all the data? So the best way is under stock pick ideas. You can go overall top rated stocks, and that will give you our stock viewer inside the mobile app. If you want to see all the data associated with it, just simply let's take Alcoa, tap on it. You can get the 4 indicators right there and then all the data right below there. And if you want to see the report, Michael, just simply click on the stock analysis report and that'll pull it up for you. All right, so I think we've covered all the stocks you guys wanted to see. If I missed out any, I do apologize. Didn't mean to. I know we have a lot of tickers coming in here today. So let's jump back to the overview page real fast. Taking a look, we are still 3 ticks into the red. Therefore, the color guard is still bearish, and VectorVest does not advocate buying any stocks at this time. Scrolling down here below there, taking a look at the advanced declines. Right now, we're sitting at about 29% of stocks moving higher and about 63% of stocks moving lower. So getting closer to negating that 2-to-1 ratio that we like to see. Getting very close to seeing exactly at 2-to-1 where we were well over that just, a little bit ago here. So looking down at the major indices, the Dow is still the weakest spot in the market, surprisingly enough, down 1.3%. Looking at the NASDAQ's fighting back right now, trying to turn positive. S&P also fighting back, but still negative, down just less than 1%, down about 0.9%. Overall, the VectorVest composite down about 0.8%. So we are noticing the markets trying to fight their way back, trying to tune out the bad news. Well, in this case, this bad news could end up becoming good news because it could cause the Fed to potentially, take a second or take a breather and potentially slow down the aggressiveness, the pace at which they were planning on raising rates and also tapering. So with the geopolitical issues, that could slow the Fed down a little bit, which could give a boost to stock prices. So we'll have to wait and see how that impacts the Fed's decision, over the next month or two. I had a tickle in my throat all day and I couldn't get it out. All right. So with that information, hopefully it helps you guys, figure out some new ideas, some new trading ideas if you haven't already started looking into them. And hopefully, as always, follow the market guidance, let the trend be your friend. Let the market trend analysis help you make the smarter, better, and faster decisions out there. Also, as always, at 2 p.m. today, we do have Glenn Tompkins, the guy responsible for messing with all the lights in here today. He does have his Trending Thursday coming up at 2 p.m. So if you want to see more of us, want to hear what type of headlines are making the news here today, see his opinions on that, make sure to tune in right here, both on Facebook and on YouTube at 2 p.m. and catch Glenn. Great instructor, knows a lot. So make sure to go show him some support as well at 2 p.m. Eastern today. So on that note, it's been my pleasure being with you guys here today. Hopefully you all have enjoyed yourself. Hopefully you all have a great rest of your trading day. Be safe this weekend and make sure to be here at 11 a.m. Eastern next Thursday as we kick off our next weekly mobile coaching session. So until then, take care, adios, and toodles.